They used me as their personal ATM for years, so I burned it all down and walked away richer than ever. I, 32F, come from what outsiders would call a tight-knit family. You know, the type that takes perfect photos at every holiday, pretends to be super religious and community-focused, and always tells everyone how blessed they are. But behind closed doors, it was a totally different story. I grew up in a household where my worth was measured in two things: what I could do for my family and how quietly I could do it. My dad was the classic narcissist. You know the type. Booming voice, fake charm, everything was always about him. My mom was his loyal enabler, constantly telling me to keep the peace and not upset your father. Then there's my younger brother, Ethan, the golden child. He could set the kitchen on fire and they'd blame me for putting the matches where he could reach them. From a young age, I was expected to be responsible. I did chores, I cooked meals while my mom watched her shows, and I even helped Ethan with his homework, only for him to lie and say I didn't. Spoiler alert, I still got punished, but I kept my head down. I figured once I turned 18, I'd be free. I worked 2 jobs through college while living at home, since my parents couldn't afford to help me. Funny how they suddenly had money to buy Ethan a car when he turned 17. A brand new one, I might add. Still, I got my degree in accounting, landed a job at a respected firm, and eventually moved out. That's when the real fun began. Once I was making decent money, my parents suddenly became very interested in my life again. They called all the time, always under the guise of checking in. But the real reason? They needed money. At first, it was small stuff. Your brother's car broke down and he needs $500 for repairs. Or, we're behind on the mortgage and could really use some help this month. I was naive and eager to prove I wasn't the selfish one, so I helped. Then the amounts got bigger. Ethan decided college wasn't for him. Instead, he wanted to start a landscaping business. My parents came to me with a full-blown proposal that I fund. They said I'd be a silent partner and get paid back. I was 25, scared of saying no and still craving their approval. So yeah, I gave him $15,000. He bought some equipment, never used it, and shut down the business in less than 3 months. No apology, no explanation. My parents told me not to make a big deal out of it because he was going through a lot. Every time I asked about repayment, they made me feel guilty. You make so much more than us. We did everything for you growing up. It's just family, you'll understand someday. I didn't realize I was the family piggy bank until one Christmas, when I saw my mom's phone light up with a text from Ethan that read, "Ask her to cover the cruise deposit. She always says yes." Everything changed when I met James, now my fiancé. He was the first person who actually saw through the BS. He pointed out how every time I got a raise or bonus, somehow a family emergency popped up. When I started keeping a spreadsheet, it made me sick. Over the course of 6 years, I'd given my family over $85,000. Rent money, car repairs, Ethan's landscaping business, bailing my parents out of credit card debt, even paying off Ethan's DUI fines because we can't let him go to jail. James urged me to stop enabling them, so I did. I stopped answering money requests with yes. I said I couldn't afford to help. Their reaction was instant and vicious. My mom sobbed on the phone, accusing me of abandoning them. My dad left me a long voicemail calling me ungrateful and selfish. Ethan? He posted a Facebook status that said, "Some sisters would rather watch their family suffer than skip one shopping spree." That was the moment I snapped. I decided if they wanted me to be the villain, I'd be the damn villain. And if they thought they could just use me forever, they had another thing coming. It was time for revenge. I started by pulling back completely. No texts, no calls, no visits, just silence. At first, they thought I was bluffing. I know because my cousin Jenna, the only decent relative I had, told me my mom kept saying things like, "She's just being dramatic. She'll come crawling back after she cools off." Spoiler, I didn't. Instead, I moved forward with Operation Go Ghost. I changed my number. I switched to a new email. I even moved apartments without telling them. James helped me set everything up. For the first time in my life, I had peace, and it was addicting. But I wasn't just running away. I was planning. Because you see, I didn't just want to cut them off. I wanted them to feel it. While gathering all the documents and records of every loan and gift I ever gave them, I discovered something disturbing. They'd been using my identity. I noticed it by accident while reviewing my credit report. There was a weird inquiry from a furniture store in my hometown. I hadn't lived there in years. After some digging and a very enlightening call with the store, I found out my mom had opened a line of credit in my name. She bought $6,000 worth of furniture. I was furious, but not surprised. She probably thought I'd never notice because I had money. But that crossed a legal line and that gave me leverage. I consulted a lawyer. We sent a cease and desist, along with a demand for immediate repayment or face legal consequences for fraud. My mom called crying, of course. "It was just one thing. Why are you doing this to us?" I didn't respond. Instead, I let my lawyer handle everything. That little stunt ended up costing them more than just money. It trashed their credit when they defaulted on the payments. But I wasn't done yet. Ethan still lived with my parents. At 29, he didn't have a real job, just a string of half-hearted ventures funded by anyone foolish enough to help. I knew he had one remaining chance left. He was pitching some crypto investment nonsense to a couple in our town, retirees who were considering putting in $40,000. I couldn't let that happen. Using a burner Reddit account, I messaged the couple anonymously. I linked public court records from his DUI and a small claim suit involving unpaid rent, and attached screenshots of his business website that was clearly copied from a Fiverr template. They pulled out the next day. Ethan lost his deal, and word got around that he was a scammer. He tried to blame it on me in a Facebook rant, but all the comments were people calling him out. I didn't even have to say a word. But the crown jewel of my revenge, the financial audit. You see, my parents had been taking money not just from me, but from their church. My dad was on the board, and over the years, they'd managed to redirect thousands of dollars in donations into emergency funds that never got reported. I knew this because I'd once done their taxes, and I'd kept everything. With another anonymous tip and a flash drive full of documentation, I sent everything to the church leadership and the IRS. Within weeks, there was an internal investigation. My parents were removed from every committee and a forensic accountant was brought in. The fallout? The church filed charges. My parents had to pay back over $20,000 and were publicly disgraced in our small town. My dad tried to save face, saying it was all a misunderstanding, but no one bought it. I won't pretend it didn't hurt. There were nights I cried, not out of regret, but out of mourning. Mourning the fact that my own family saw me as nothing more than a walking wallet. I tried so hard to be the good daughter, but the truth is they only loved what I could do for them. When I stopped doing it, they turned on me. James and I eventually bought a house together, far away from that toxic place. I now own my own accounting firm and work with women who've been financially abused by family or partners. That's my way of paying it forward. Ethan. Last I heard, he's working at a vape shop and still blaming everyone else for his failures. My parents had to sell their house to pay off legal fees. No one in the community trusts them anymore. Me? I'm thriving. To anyone out there dealing with a toxic family, you don't owe them your sanity, your success, or your savings. Family isn't blood, it's behavior. And if they see you as a resource instead of a person, you have every right to walk away, or burn it down and walk away from the ashes. I did both.